Oh, I didn't realize I was unmuted already. I was getting the word out about the tornado, or about the stream, but here is the current situation. This is the main reason I pulled the trigger on this live stream, is this cell in particular for southern Kansas that has a tornado warning on it. Tornado warning for, let me make sure that's in frame. Tornado warning for Harper County. And areas of impact include Danville, Corwin, Freeport, Bluff City, and Crystal Springs. If you live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately. Here's what the velocities look like. Absolutely insane. Very, very strong inflow. And very strong RFD as well. Very tight rotation. Very, very tight rotation. If this thing's not on the ground already, then wow. Because this will plant a tornado at any second now, and it's probably going to be significant too. This is a very, very nasty look. Again, if you live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately. This is a very, very scary look from our velocities. Very, very strong area of rotation there. Very tight. Here, this is what we'll do. We'll pull up our dual panel. There. Let me make it more centered for you guys. So you could probably... Ooh, no, that's not gonna work. There, okay. So we have velocity on one side, correlation coefficient on the other. This side will track for a correlation coefficient drop, see if the tornado touches down or not. But man, I would honestly be surprised if it didn't touch down at any second now. Does look like there may have been a brief touchdown, potentially. A little bit of a lower correlation coefficient drop there. Definitely. Storm Chaser Jackson Franson, which I'm great buddies with, did say that he saw a massive wall cloud that was nearly touching the ground. Here's one thing that I do notice. This area of rotation does look like it is separate from this down here. This seems to be an old area of rotation, and this one is kind of taking form. This one's going to move further down to the south and just fade away. This one is going to continue taking a northeast or take an overall eastward trajectory and slowly turn to the northeast. It seems as that's typically what happens. Yeah, that's what it looks like it's doing. It looks like it is slowly taking a northeastern trajectory here. We'll watch to see what path it takes. Overall, honestly, not as impressive anymore, but still, that's an insane area of rotation there. We also have another tornado warning further down to the south. We have another, sorry, another tornado warning here. This is what reflectivity looks like. A very, very nice hook echo here. Very nice hook echo. Definitely going to have some hail with this as well. Very nice hook echo. I continue to say that because that's a really nice hook echo. Very, very prominent, very clear inflow notch there. Here's the tornado warning. Tornado warning for Love County in southern Oklahoma. South Central Carter County in southern Oklahoma. Locations impacted include Ardmore, Marita, Leon, Overbrook, Rue Bottom, Lake Murray, Bernayville, Lake Texoma, and Courtney. If you live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately. This is what velocity looks like. Still, there's nothing that really indicates a tornado on the ground from our correlation coefficient. Honestly, some weak rotation, but I definitely see it there. Definitely see that weak rotation. Where's our radar? Okay, we're attached to the one and more. So or Norman. So we have one's going there, one's going here. Definitely can see that rotation there. We can also view it from the Dallas one. Strong outbound velocities moving northward, and just outbound, but because this entire couplet here is kind of taking a northeastern trajectory, or a semi-northeastern trajectory, and these areas are being technically they're outbound relative to the radar site. They're outbound. However, relative to the storm, they're moving southward. So yeah, if you turn on storm relative velocity here, you can definitely see that rotation much more clearly there. Let's check back up on the other storm that I was pretty concerned about. Yeah, not as tight anymore. Ooh, it looks like we may have gotten a little bit of a either a gust NATO in the inflow or potentially a little rope. Yeah, there was a rope tornado that did touch down here. Small little area of correlation coefficient drop. Small little area of rotation here that kind of just flew into the inflow and is now just going to be absorbed up into the storm. That's actually really interesting to catch there. It's not on the ground anymore. It's kind of just been absorbed already. And rotation is honestly looking more broad. It's not as tight, but still definitely pretty strong. Honestly, I would be surprised if we didn't get a tornado report here soon that was associated with this area of rotation. If there wasn't a tornado report with this, then man, that's sure a waste. That is sure a waste of a perfectly good mesocyclone, because that was looking very tight there. But we did get a tornado here with that little area there. Here, let me move chat where I can see it. Here, let me just open up the live stream on my computer. Here, let's talk to Jackson Franson. Let's ask him what he sees. Hey Jackson, what do you currently see right now? Overall on velocity doesn't look as tight or impressive anymore, but still rotating. And it does appear that there was a little bit of a satellite tornado that kind of rotated through the inflow that was there for a brief moment. That definitely was on the ground. But what do you see right now as far as the main area of circulation? Definitely not as impressive anymore. Keep in mind you're on the air right now, so be mindful about what you say. Hold on, let me fix something. Noticing that it's kind of broken. Here. There, that's better. Hopefully it doesn't cut off the text now. We're getting a couple hail reports. 2-inch hail. Definitely had a really nice hail core. Reports of a suspected tornado. Why is it not a tornado report? It says it's wind damage. Interesting. Overall, this is what I'm currently seeing as far as our storms right now. Right now, the majority of our storms are kind of struggling, especially at the surface. We do have a couple of these supercells that did fire off. Overall, not a whole lot of activity across central Oklahoma, like previously anticipated on a lot of the early morning model runs of the AARR. There are some cells that definitely did produce tornadoes. We have had tornadoes today. However, the vast majority of cells honestly just haven't really looked too surprising or too really enticing, really. It looks like a vast majority of the cells have been kind of struggling in the low levels. That's partially probably because of the fact that there is a cap across this region. A cap is in place across this region, so that is limiting our storms. The low-level jet hasn't fully kicked in, and storms may be missing that low-level jet. As I did talk about my forecast, but just released, so you guys probably haven't seen it yet. But something I do want to note about the low-level jet is the fact that our storms fired so much earlier compared to what their actual timing was supposed to be. They kind of just they're missing the low-level jet right now. They're not really faring too well. They're really struggling in the low levels. Don't get me wrong. There are a couple of storms that definitely have a couple of impressive updrafts that definitely are rotating. And we have had tornadoes. In fact, have had multiple tornado reports for a single cell in Texas that did produce a tornado. I thought that this storm was going to produce a tornado. It still could. Still has a really, really nice look to it. Could tighten up here soon and try to drop a tornado, and we did get a tornado to come out of this. However, honestly, it's not really too impressive to me. There's definitely this storm is definitely pretty impressive to me. Don't get me wrong, but the overall how storms are faring right now isn't really too impressive to me. But for those of you that are in this region, don't let that get your guard down, because violent tornadoes are still possible today, especially with the look of this. That is definitely a really concerning look, and with the fact that we have so much convection overall in this region. We have so many different cells that can kind of just merge into this one big conglomerate, and that's what it looks like it's doing already. Because I do remember that we did have a cell to the south of this one that did merge, and that may be why we don't see oh yeah, Jackson's not going to be able to see anything. It is extremely very, very rain wrapped here. Extremely rain wrapped, very, very thick. About 10 to 8 miles to the area of rotation. Just packed with extremely heavy rainfall. We would need to wait for this to become a successful merger for Jackson to be able to see anything. So, whenever he answers back, if he does answer back, then he's probably going to be saying that he doesn't see anything because it's so rain-wrapped. That's my hypothesis. But this is definitely a scary look, because if the area of rotation were to tighten up now, it's going to be heavily rain-wrapped and no one would be able to see it, which is even more of a reason why you need to be taking shelter, because you will not be able to see this tornado when it touches down. If it does touch down around now. Tornado warning in effect for Harper County in southern Kansas. Other areas of impact include Danville, Corwin, Freeport, Bluff City, and Crystal Springs. Again, if you live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately. This is still a very dangerous storm, and even more dangerous with the fact that it's now rain-wrapped. I do think that this merger will probably hold off on tornado development, tornado genesis for now. Rotation does seem to be dying down, but still really strong. Could definitely tighten up at any time and try to produce a tornado. But whenever this cell merges, this could definitely significantly ramp up the tornado potential. As what I usually see in these storm mergers is that you have here, I'm kind of just going to draw a picture here in the area of precipitation. You have this one nice supercell here, and then you have this other supercell further down to the south here that may not be as robust. As they merge, it kind of puts a big push into the inflow notch here, and in turn kind of strengthens the RFD as that storm moves northward. the air will be taken sorry, I'm kind of in my thoughts. I'm trying to explain this in a way that kind of makes sense to me. It already makes sense in my brain, but I'm trying to put it into words right now. It kind of all the air around it will kind of be pulled in with it to some extent with its northward movement. So even when even air from the west, and even a little bit of air from the east, but mainly from the south and from the western side of this storm will be pulled up with it. And when this cell merges with the one to the north, it kind of pushes in on the storm, kind of produces a very, very strong inflow jet, kind of ramps up that inflow, and significantly increases the RFD as well, because that wind is also going to be pushed up northward out from the west as well. So it kind of ramps up a lot of stuff as far as tornado genesis. A delayed report of a tornado 10 miles southwest of Anaheim. The spotter observed damage. So there has been a confirmed tornado now. We do have a tornado report. This should turn in... I don't think that this will turn into observed just because it's undergoing a cell merger right now. Still some really broad rotation. It is tight in some areas. It's going to need to tighten up if it wants to produce a tornado, but it could tighten up at any time, especially with this cell merger. When it finishes merging, it's definitely going to be really tight, potentially. Here's the one to the south. Let's check on the southern tornado warning here for southern Oklahoma. Don't know why, but it's not wanting to actually load. There we go. We'll just use the one from Dallas. Still, oh, we got a new scan. Okay, still a really, really nice hook echo. Really nice inflow notch here. Really nice hook echo. Definitely has a really nice look to it. It also looks like it is probably developing a little bit of a V notch, indicating that the updraft is likely strengthening. As far as rotation goes on the velocity, let's use storm relative velocity. Still definitely has some pretty decently nice rotation on it. It's kind of hard to decipher with being so far from the radar side, but definitely has some really nice rotation on it. As far as as far as correlation coefficient goes, no indicator of a tornado being on the ground just yet, but still, a tornado could definitely touch down at any time with this. Here are your areas of impact. Tornado warning for northeastern Love and south central Carter counties. Areas of impact include Admore, Marita, Lake Murray, Overbrook, and Burneyville. If you live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately, regardless of if there is a tornado on the ground or not. Let's go north again. Let's continue to watch this area of rotation. It does look like we may have another mesovortice beginning to form here, off to the north, just to the southwest of Harper, Kansas. Still very, very broad rotation overall on that main circulation that we're watching. Does look like it may be trying to tighten up a little bit there, but still not necessarily really too concerning. It is organizing much more now. It is beginning to work its way. The cell's beginning to work its way into merger. We have your hook echo here, at least trying to form, with the remnants of that cell that's emerging, kind of just continuing to push northward. if I were to draw this out, if I were to kind of separate the two storms, it would kind of look like this, with this area kind of just being a little bit more of a blur, because that's where your storms kind of just merging together. But this area is definitely a big importance, because that's where the updraft is, and that's where a tornado will try to form, and that's what's currently being tornado warned, is this area here. And it's trying to form a pretty broad hook echo. And by the look of it right now, it definitely looks like it is doing that successfully as well. But yeah, a lot of these storms are kind of struggling, especially at the surface. We don't really have the best low-level jet, or well, we do, but it's kind of just, it's out of the south and it's further off to the west. So it's not ahead of our storms, where it can really wrap up the inflow and the RFD, and really aid in tornado genesis. So overall, it's kind of mid as far as the low-level jet further down to the south. It will probably strengthen as the sun begins to set across this region, and we see more of a temperature gradient. And around golden hour here, do have this nice little interesting thing here that actually does look like it has a rear inflow jet that it developed, and has a really nice Boeing line segment here. Overall, more of a significant damaging wind risk than more of a tornado risk, with 60 to even 70 mile per hour winds, I would say, especially by the look of that. Look on reflectivity, not really so much on velocity, but yeah. Let's see the progression of that, just to confirm my hypothesis about that storm. Yeah, more of a damaging wind risk really on that storm. This storm may also be trying to wrap up here. This one may be trying to form a area of rotation here. Definitely don't think it's tornado warning worthy yet, especially without much look from reflectivity. But it does look like it may be trying to form a hook echo here. So we'll watch that. We'll see if that goes tornado warned. We also do have the storm further off to the west, or to the east, compared to the one that's currently tornado warned. That I immediately noticed a really nice hook echo on when I moved up here. Really nice inflow notch as well. Very, very nice hook echo. And cell is in the RFD. So all the downdraft winds from this additional cell will be able to vastly help in the RFD of this storm as well. No notable areas of rotation just yet. Maybe trying to form, though. We'll watch that, though, because that does have a really nice hook echo. As far as velocity goes now, it looks terrible now. It looks absolutely terrible. Extremely unorganized. Just doesn't really have that nice look to it anymore. That's probably partially due to it undergoing a cell merger right now. May try to organize when it finishes merging, but it's a little bit more on the slower track. And it may not really do too much. It may just be on its last leg here, do that cell merger. That cell merger could have killed it. That's definitely a possibility. Whoa, what the? Did my internet just die? So we'll watch this and see. I'm mainly just kind of just sitting here watching these. Mainly what I'm doing. Let me put on dual panel. Definitely extremely unorganized here. Kind of just seems really just not good anymore. Oops. Definitely a couple of areas that may be trying to develop rotation, but if this is going, yeah, tornado warning just got expired, so that was really the only main concerning thing that I saw. It definitely looked like it was going to plant a significant tornado. That's what it looked like to me. There was a tornado warning in the there was a tornado in the inflow, confirmed tornado, but just now, as of right now, it's not looking too good for that storm. And a vast majority of the storms across Oklahoma as of right now either is not honestly looking too good for them. So I'm probably going to end this stream here. May start it up again later, but right now I'm going to take a little bit of a break. So it was nice to be on for a little bit to cover these storms, but honestly, not really much going on that's really catching my attention. Do have that one tornado warning though. Definitely make sure you're still staying in your safe space if you do live in that tornado warning. We can go over that real quick before I do end it, because I did just get a polygon update, as you probably saw there. And that'll be the final thing for this stream. You can definitely still see that area of rotation. It may even be strengthening a little bit more. But because it does have a little bit more outbound pixels. Still, overall, majority of the pixels moving northeast, kind of towards the radar site in Oklahoma. Here we are connected to the Norman radar, so blues going towards the radar site, deeper greens relative to the storm moving away from the radar site, and overall more reds on the back end of that now. So it does look like it may be strengthening. As far as correlation coefficient goes, nothing really too concerning, but it's also hard to decipher because it's such a mess. So no big area that's really a concern to me as of right now, but definitely make sure you're staying weather alert, taking the necessary precautions if you live in this moderate risk area as of right now, as strong tornadoes are still possible, especially later on this afternoon, with some uncertainties in place, definitely some conditionality, but it's definitely looking quite crazy. Potentially later. As of right now, it's not really doing much. At least in some areas. Here's the areas that are in effect by this tornado warning. Northeastern Love and South Central Carter counties in southern Oklahoma. Other areas of impact include Admore, Lake Murray, and Overbrook. If you do live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately and remain in that shelter until until the tornado warning expires. And hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow. Glad to